Hey, welcome to another video. Today I've decided to start a new series with videos. It's gonna be a little challenge. I've seen these on BookTube before, and it's gonna help me knock off books off my TBR. As you can tell by the title, this is going to be finishing every series that I'm in the middle of, episode 1. So when I set up my reading journal for 2024, I have a series checklist in there. I think I have about 13 series that I'm in the middle of. So I'm just gonna do these videos and these reading vlogs to kind of help me finish out series that I need to finish. I'm gonna pick 3 books for this video, and I'm gonna start off with reading books that will completely finish a series for me. 2 of them I know are absolutely completed. I believe there's one that is eventually going to have more books, but they're not out yet. I don't think there's a release date or anything. First up, this is the series that could possibly have more books. This is Crossed by Emily McIntyre. This is the 5th book in the Never After series. There's Hooked, Scarred, Wretched, Twisted, and then Crossed. I really enjoyed the first 2 books of that series. I didn't really like the last 2, but I've heard great things about Crossed. I'm not gonna lie, when this came out, I was hesitant about picking it up. Watching Alexa Ray's vlogs and her reading vlogs on this series, I literally had the same opinions as her on the books, but she really liked this one. It led me to want to pick it up. I'm finally getting to it. I just have a feeling that I'm gonna like it if she liked it because we had the same opinions on the other books. This is a dark romance. Of course, this whole series is full of dark romances. This one is about a priest. It's based on The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I used to watch that movie all the time as a kid, the Disney movie. I don't know why. I don't really remember anything about the movie or the story, but I just know that I watched it a lot when I was younger. So that'll be the last book to read in the Never After series for now. Next, I have Hopeless by Elsie Silver. This is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series. This is also the 5th book. I will say I'm the most nervous for this one to finish out with because a lot of people didn't like this from what I've been seeing, and that makes me really sad because I don't want to finish out this series on a bad note. So I'm hoping I decently like this and I give it at least a 3-star because I love the other books, and I truly believe that Chestnut Springs is now my favorite romance series that I've ever read. This is Beau and Bailey's story. Beau we've gotten a lot on in the past books. He's kind of like mysterious with his life and everything. He's in the military, so he's away a lot, but he does come back and there's glimpses of him, and something major happened to him in the other books, so I'm happy to finally get his point of view, really see his personality and see who he's like. And then lastly for this video, I will be reading Supernova by Marissa Meyer. This is the 3rd book in the Renegades trilogy. Absolutely love the 1st book. The 2nd book was a little slower for me, but it was such a good setup to what this book is gonna be, I think, so I have very high hopes for this one. There's so much that's about to happen, and there's still things that need to happen that I was hoping would happen in the 1st book that hasn't happened yet, and I'm just so excited to get into this and see how people react to things, and I can't wait to see where their story goes. So I'm gonna save this one for last because this is the one I'm most excited for. But yeah, those are my 3, and after this I will complete 3 series and I'll be really good about myself. And we're just gonna get into it and start reading some of these books, and I'll share my thoughts and my opinions. Welcome to episode 1 of finishing every series that I'm in the middle of. Let's do it. Okay, I read a few chapters last night. I'm on page 55, chapter 5, so we're still at the very beginning, but I do just have 1 or 2 thoughts that I would like to bring up before I continue on. We get Bailey and Beau's interaction right from the beginning, and I really like Bailey a lot so far. I like all the female characters in the Chestnut Springs series. Bailey works at a bar, and she's worked there since she was 18, so she's 22 now. She's worked there for 4 years. Beau goes in there, and he starts spending time there. Pretty much he's in there every day now because she's working there, and he knows her from their childhood, so they are neighbors. And he has a bad rap with her brothers, but she's a good person, so she's trying to like get away from her family name pretty much. The one thing I did just want to talk about was, since we're getting all these interactions with Beau and Bailey at the bar now, Beau is pretty much instantly protective over Bailey. You know, obviously she's at a bar, she's dealing with other guys. You know, her and Beau aren't a thing right now. They're at the very beginning, but he's already very protective over her, and he's already kind of like gone off on other guys and kind of stood up for her, which she really doesn't need anybody to do that for her because she seems like such a strong, brave person. She can stand up for herself. She's already shown that too, so I just think it's weird that he's so protective over her as of right now, and he's kind of getting jealous because I feel like at this point we don't really have that connection with them to make me believe that he should act that way with other guys because of her, which obviously, yes, it's nice to protect other people and stand up for them when things are happening, but I think the way that he's going about it is kind of like this I'm better than you mentality. But those are kind of pretty much the only strong thoughts that I have so far. Just that I'm not really a fan of how protective he is so far because I just don't feel like there's any reason for him to be yet. Like once they get together, yeah, I can see that totally, but as of right now it just seems a little weird, and it kind of just seems like it's happening just to make him that type of guy. I don't know, I kind of have like conflicting feelings about it, but I just think it's a little early on. page 201 now, so we're almost halfway through. This one definitely doesn't have as strong as a plot as the other ones do. The plot is basically just focusing on their relationship with each other. I have to make sure this is on the back so I don't spoil it, but okay, yeah. Well, obviously you can kind of tell from the ring on the front, but they have like a fake engagement, and that is pretty much the plot. But up until that point when it came in, it was kind of a little boring to me. I was finding myself just not really caring about this story. But now we're at the point where all the other characters are back in and they're having their conversations, and I obviously love the Eaton family and all the characters, so I'm happy that they were mentioned and that they got their scenes and stuff in the book, because I was kind of getting a little bored with it, like I said. But I don't really have too many other thoughts on this because there's not too much happening right now. I will just say that I'm happy that we have all the other characters back in and we're getting interactions between them, and the family's kind of filling up now, so I'm excited to see where it goes. But it's not giving me nearly the same feelings that any of the other books in the series has. A little disappointing, but hopefully my mind can change as I continue. I did finish Hopeless. It's been a couple days. I finished this the other night. I was gonna update when I had about 100 or so pages left, but honestly my feelings didn't really change. This book didn't really have the plot like the other four did. This was mainly focused on Beau and Bailey's physical attraction to each other. It's very smut based, so if that's something that you enjoy, you would probably love this book. But I do have mostly like a plot line and then the romance, because I feel like that's kind of a little reward when you get to that point. But this one, it took up basically the whole book, so not my cup of tea. So this is my least favorite from the Chestnut Spring series. It was nice to go back and to see all the other characters, but we really didn't get too much of the other couples from the previous books in the series. But when we did get those moments, of course I still love them because I love those characters and I love this small town. So I don't have too much to touch on with this. I did rate it 2 stars. Once again, just not for me. I still of course loved being in the Chestnut Springs world, and I'm very sad to see this series go because it is probably my favorite romance series that I've read so far. Alrighty, I'm about a third of the way through. I'm really liking this so far. I think there's a ton of room for character development. Not that it like necessarily needs it, but I think there's just going to be development in the way that a character is going to completely change their mindset on certain things. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go and where these characters end up. So we have Cade, who is the priest, and he has dealt with a lot in his past. This one so far doesn't seem as dark as the other ones did. I feel like the other ones kind of just started right away with dark elements and a whole bunch of violence, but this one we didn't get really anything until, I mean, I'm a third of the way, so kind of until there. But I feel like her writing in this one has improved so much. I love the writing in this and I'm just so intrigued. It's getting me really into the story. I read the other 4 books in April of 2023, so it's been a while since I have read anything from this series, but so far I feel like this one just tops all the other ones just based on the writing. Like the plot doesn't even have to be something that I'm completely interested in, but the writing makes me interested in it. I really like our main character, Amaya. She has this little brother. He has a disability. She's looking out for him. She has had a rough past with her family too, so she's on her own kind of raising her little brother. It's just such a sweet relationship between them and I really love it. So that's really cute. I really like her as a character, and obviously we're getting Cade. He is the villain in the story, but like I said before, he doesn't really seem like the villain. And if you haven't read this series yet, there's always one character who is the villain. You're getting their love story throughout the book, and then you have obviously the other person. In this case it's Amaya. But since Amaya has dealt with a lot from her mother called her the witch of where they live, so everyone's kind of against her. They think that she has cursed the town. And I think the last line on the back of this book is super interesting. It says, she's his weakness, so he decides he'll be her demise, even if it means killing the only woman he might ever love. That's kind of where his villain story is coming in, basically saying that she is doing a lot of bad things and that he needs to her. So I don't know, it's just really interesting so far and I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully I can get a big chunk of this done tonight. I kind of don't want to put it down and I keep on reading, so I'll see how far I can get through. I might update tomorrow. Once I get halfway, I'll maybe throw in some other info or some other thoughts and feelings depending on how the story's going. So far so good. I'm excited to continue. Evil side is coming out, guys. It's coming out. It did come out. Yikes. Guys, a lawyer needs to be involved for a specific reason, and the lawyer that is picked is the worst person. They're gonna cause so many issues. This is about to get really bad. A lot of bad things are about to happen, I think. Okay, another quick update. I'm curious because in the beginning, Cade is kind of like working with another character that we know in the story. You're not like working with, but he's seen with him, so we're kind of wondering why he's with him and what is happening with that situation. We're still wondering at this point, so I'm questioning if it's gonna be like a whole plot twist thing at the end or if it's just not being touched on right now. And then also, something is happening right now, and I kind of feel like I know what might happen at the end, so I have my idea. Obviously, I can't say it. I think someone's gonna do something bad to another character, which is probably gonna be the case, but I'm just wondering if it's what I'm thinking or if it's gonna be something else. I will let you know if that ever happens. But I'm trying to like plan a little bit and see if I can figure out what's gonna happen. Usually I'm wrong, but we'll see. It is the next morning. I have a little less than 100 pages left, and I'm just gonna finish this up before I start my work for the day. Before I do that, I just wanted to give some of my thoughts that I had since like the halfway point of the book. So I do feel like the plot has slowed down a lot. I think that we were kind of building up to something, or it seemed like we were building up to a lot, especially if you compare this to the other books in the series. There was quite a bit that happened in the other books, like darkness wise, I guess you could say, but this one doesn't have too much in it. Obviously, Cade has done some evil things so far, and Amaya's just like, oh, fascinating. Like, no, that's terrifying. What do you mean? That's not fascinating. Anyway, so they're both kind of crazy. But still, I feel like there's not too much that has happened. There's little things here and there, but there hasn't really been like a major event that has happened yet. Hopefully it happens, but since there's less than 100 pages now, I feel like either a lot is going to happen and it's going to get crazy, or it's just going to stay how it is. But either way, I'm still enjoying it. I'm not too connected to Cade. I don't really feel anything for his character. I'm still loving Amaya and her relationship with her little brother Quentin. I literally just want to give that kid a hug. He's so sweet, and I feel so bad for him. He's getting like bullied in school and everything just because of who he is, and it makes me so sad to read about, and I just want to give him a little hug. Also, I know I said at the beginning when I first started this book that I was waiting for Cade's like character development, just in the sense that I wanted to see like how much he changes or if he changes as a person. And I don't know why I was saying that, because he's a villain, so I don't think he's gonna change. So that was kind of dumb of me, but I will finish this and I will share my update at the end and give you my rating. Guys, we met a character early on in the book, and I was like, I had a feeling that I knew who it was, and it's that person. And it's funny because when the name was said, I went back pages and I searched for the name of who I thought it was gonna be. Obviously the names weren't the same. And I was like, I have a feeling. My feeling was correct. Also, I have never been more mad reading a book with how they treat this little boy. I swear. Reading things about like adult characters in books, I'm like, okay, but reading things about kids and animals that are just so violent and mean, I cannot take it. It makes me, oh my god, it makes me so upset. The scene that just happened is absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's not real, but I know that stuff probably happens in real life, and it's making me... Something good better happen to this dude, I'm telling you. Okay, now I'm rooting for Cade. He better do what needs to be done, because this is not okay. Oh god. I don't know if I can read this. Well, they're definitely meant for each other, that's for sure. Alright, we are done. It did end up getting a little crazier. Let me adjust here. So we did end up getting quite the bit of craziness at the end. Not as intense as I thought it was going to be. Some of it was kind of gross, but it worked out well for the story. I'm happy with the ending. This book was really good. I didn't have too strong of a connection to their romance, just because I don't know that I can necessarily have a connection with like a dark romance and the characters in a dark romance, just because of how violent it could get and how bad it could be. But without like thinking about that and my personal opinion on dark romance, this book was really good and I really enjoyed it. The only thing, the plot was kind of slower after the middle section. I was happy with the ending. I was happy how it played out, and I am happy for them to. Throughout the book, I was kind of questioning their relationship and how they were connecting to each other, just because they seemed so different, but they ended up coming together really well. And you know, they're both crazy. Like I said earlier, the writing in this one just was so much better than the writing reading in the other books in this series, and I really enjoyed that. It made me love it a lot more. I think I'm gonna give this a 4 stars. I would recommend this. I'm happy that I like this one because I was 50-50 with the other ones in this series. I'm happy about this, and I wasn't actually paying attention. I think I also mentioned that there might be a 6th book in this series. People were saying that it could be based on The Little Mermaid, which would be super cool, especially in a dark romance format, but I forgot to pay attention. My bad. I forgot to pay attention and find like where that could have come in, because people were saying there was a hint at that in this book, but I have no idea what it was, so I couldn't tell you that much. But yeah, I'll give this a 4 stars. The story is very different from what I've read, but I still really enjoyed it and I had a fun time reading it. And I really love the writing, especially towards the end. If you are someone who loves quotes between characters who are in love, then there's gonna be some in here for you. I will tell you that, especially towards the end. So that is crossed. So now we are finished with the 2nd book of this video, and we have one more. I will start reading Supernova probably tonight, but for now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do some work, and then we'll get into Supernova later. That was supposed to be cool. It wasn't. Supernova. In the first book of this trilogy, Renegades, we're dealing with the Anarchist and the Renegades. Our main character is actually a part of the Anarchist. She's always kind of had a hatred for the Renegades. So the Anarchists are known kind of as the evil people in this world, and the Renegades are known as the heroes. So we're getting more of like the villain view, if you will. Since she has always not really liked the Renegades, she's teaming with the Anarchists. She kind of pulls a little spy mission and goes undercover in the Renegades, and then from there the story just takes off. You're finding out all these secrets. One of the things that I really love about this trilogy is that you're getting the viewpoint from essentially both sides, because she is an Anarchist but she's also going undercover with the Renegades, so she's, you know, teaming up with both and you're getting both of their sides, and I think that's really interesting. I really like that part of this whole entire series. That's kind of just the gist of the whole trilogy. This book is the 3rd, so I can't say much, and this is a continuous series, so it's not like just a standalone. Like the other books I could have talked about because you can just read them as a standalone. They don't interconnect with the other books. Really, this one, it does. I can only give you so much. I'm so excited to get into this. I can't wait to start this anymore, so I'm gonna do it now. I have a little bit of time that I can read before I have to do more things. So I'm gonna start it because I don't want to wait any longer. Let's get into it. Let's see how this story wraps up. I'm so curious to see how people react to everything that we've learned about in the 1st and 2nd book. Little update, I'm on page 133. I would think I said this in my November reading wrap up after I finished the first 2 books, but Marissa Meyer does a very good job of writing books in the rest of the series. At least with this one, I don't really remember how it was in the Luna Chronicles. She does a very good job at bringing up previous characters in other books, but not making it like a huge description and giving us too much because we had already read it. I'm someone who does forget things like as soon as I finish the book. So of course I do want that description to remember who the characters were and their part. In the other books, she will say like the character's name and then she'll just give like a few word description of who they were and their part that they played in the story. I really enjoy that about hers because you're not getting like too much like an info dump. Once you hear the name and then see that little description, you're like, okay, yeah, that's how they played the part, and then you have to just remember everything yourself, but it all comes back. But sometimes it's just like you're reading, I feel like, paragraphs about stuff that you already read, and at that point it's like, you know, I already know this. I don't really want to read it again. So she does a very good job with that and just limiting, bringing back up the importance of the characters. And of course I was waiting for Secrets to come out. This is what I'm anticipating the most from this book. From the very beginning, one was about to come out, but it was kind of like a little trick. The character found a way around it. It's funny because at the beginning, you know, it was like about to come out and I was like, this is a little early, but then again, like, no, it's not early because this is the 3rd book and I've been waiting for it since the 1st one. And I was like, no, just give me a little more time. This can't be happening right now. So it was a little trick, but one secret has come out. I'm thinking, well, I'm kind of hoping that now that this secret's out, and I like just got to the point where it came out and then a little after that, so I'm not far into it at all. So I don't truly know everybody's reactions yet. We have one more big secret that needs to be revealed, and I'm kind of hoping that in the midst of all this secret's chaos, that secret will also get revealed, and then it'll just be like back and forth kind of. We're only this far and it's starting. Everything's gonna start soon and I'm very excited. I have absolutely no idea how this is gonna end. I don't have any expectations on the ending. I don't have a way that I would like this to end, so I think I'm happy about that too, because I don't like having an expectation going into a book, especially like a fantasy series or a sci-fi series, because then if it doesn't end how I think it's gonna end, I might be a little disappointed. So I like having just an open mind when I read books, but of course sometimes I can't help that and I do want it to end a certain way. But with this one, I'm completely open. I read more than I thought I would last night, so I think I'm gonna get through this pretty quickly. I don't want the series to end because it's so good, but I'll keep on reading and I'll keep on updating as I go. I could not stop reading this last night. I read like 250 pages yesterday, which to me is a lot. Yeah, I knew I had to stop myself though before I got to the end so I could update before I get to the end. I think I have about 170 pages left. I'm just saying, you know, a book is good when it's 550 pages and you want it to be more than that. This book could be longer, in my opinion. The things that are happening, I think we could get more backstories and more action with certain plot points, and I would have still enjoyed it very, very much. But I'm not mad that it's kind of fast moving. I've heard a lot of people say this one was kind of slow, but I think it's moving very fast. It's keeping me hooked and I'm loving it so far. Mind you, the first 2 books in the series were fantastic. I love them, but this one is like overpowering them so much just with how everything is tying in. There's stuff from the first book that you wouldn't have even thought would come back up, but it came back up in a way that is just exceeding my expectations. I have nothing bad to say about this book, but we'll see. We'll see how the end goes. I still don't really have any expectations of how I want the end to go. I am kind of leaning between a couple things that I think are going to happen, or I think that's how it's going to end up. I can't say, but I do have those thoughts in my head. We'll see if I'm correct. But even so, we have the renegades. They're, you know, the heroes. They're kind of ruling society in a way. You know, they're trying to make good from society. She's doing such a good job with their politics because it's so like, okay, yeah, the renegades are the good guys. They're the superheroes, but you know, not everybody's 100% good, and there's just so much going on with the renegades, and then obviously the anarchists are coming in. Politics between like the renegades themselves and how they're leading the renegades is just, it's so good. I wish I could go into it and explain more. I'm gonna need you guys to start this series like right now. I have that much left and I don't want to finish, but also like I have to find out what happens. I just don't want the series to end. This book is making me love this series a lot more than I already did. We're gonna see how the end turns out. I'm getting nervous, but I'm excited, so. There's no way it just ended like that. There was one question I had. Something popped up a little over halfway through the book and I was on the epilogue and I was like, we didn't get an answer to this. Like, this thing happened and I don't know why it happened. I don't know why it was significant. And then I realized, oh my god, I can't. We're done. I will say the epilogue is absolutely insane. I had to go back and like flip through because I was like, there's no way. But then I was like, yes, there has to be a way because that's the only unanswered question that we didn't get answered. So that was crazy. I know I said there was like 2 kind of endings that I was going back and forth between. Honestly, I don't remember the second one, but the one that I was thinking of did happen and then it also kind of didn't. So I guess I was right. It's confusing unless you like read the story and know how it ends. This was the best book out of the trilogy. The first 2 books, well, I guess throughout the whole entire series, I think the only issue and the biggest issue that I've had is our main character Nova herself. There's definitely a lot of back and forth, which it does make sense, but it can get a little frustrating, especially in the first and second book. This one, not so much, but the first book I was definitely getting frustrated with her just because of like the reason she didn't like the renegades. It just didn't seem legit enough in my opinion. I know that may sound crazy because of what happened in the first book. I was able to put that aside and still really like this series and the plot and everything else. And usually it is hard for me once I find a frustration with the character, especially a main character. But yeah, I love this trilogy. I really recommend it. It's young adult, so obviously it's not going to be crazy super intense, but I like the plot twist. I like the plot itself. I like where the story went. The ending was great. I like the characters. There was just all around good things that came out of this trilogy. I think I am gonna give this 5 stars. I'm trying to be like more lenient on my ratings this year because I'm always like so picky, but rating this I really didn't dislike too much with this book. The whole trilogy, yes, there were a few things, but with this book specifically, I really loved it. So I think I will give this a 5 stars, and that completes the whole Renegades trilogy for me, and I'm very sad about it. We better get a novella. I'm just saying, I know it's been a while since this book and the trilogy has been completed, but I'm hoping one day there's a novella that comes out because I think we need it after the ending. It was not something that you can kind of just be like, okay, that happened, we can be fine with it. No, it was intense and we need something else. So hopefully we get a novella eventually. I don't know. If not, it is what it is. That is my last read of this video, and I have finally completed some series. I feel really good about this, guys. I really like doing this, and I can't wait to read more series because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot that I want to start. I want to start a new series and I shouldn't be doing that. I'm just gonna go through real quick, do my wrap up on everything. First, I finished the Chestnut Spring series with Hopeless. This is the 5th book and I did rate this a 2-star. Just didn't find the plot in this book, wasn't for me, but I still love this series so much and it's very close to my heart. And then we had Cross, which is the 5th book in the Never After series by Emily McIntyre. I did give this a 4-star rating. I thought the writing was beautiful. I found it very interesting. It had a very interesting plot line for what the characters were and their history. And then Supernova. Love this. What a beauty. What a beauty. 5 stars. Those are my 3 books for this first episode of finishing every series that I'm in the middle of. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you stick around so you can see more of these videos. But yeah, that's it. I will see you in my next video, whatever that may be. Thank you for watching this first episode of this series and I hope you have a good day. See ya.